Welcome back to the BookEnds YouTube channel. I'm James McGowan.
I'm Jessica Faust.
And we are literary agents who have taken our popular blog to YouTube, discussing all things publishing. This is going to be a fun one because this is, I think, an issue a lot of authors have and don't know what to do in. So what do you do when your book has elements of 2, 3, multiple different genres?
Yeah, I mean, this one, I'll be honest, this question always comes up. It usually does come up from querying authors, and it always bugs me because it feels to me you're too lazy to do the research and the work, because it's not 2 genres.
Yes. So the first thing that I want to say is an age group is different than a genre. YA, not a genre. Middle grade, not a genre. Middle grade and YA, 2 separate age groups. They're not one age group. So know the difference before you even try to define your book. If you don't already know the difference between the age groups in children's literature and the difference between YA and adult, and then what a genre is, because that's the way you have to start.
And don't tell me this is a book for YA through adults, because those are age groups that have different markets and different spots in the bookstore. And what? Go
back to the channel and watch our video on crossovers, because we have done one and it drives us both a little crazy.
It drives me nuts. And here's the thing is that I don't do YA. So if you say in your query that your book is YA through adult, I'm going to reject it.
Okay, so now that you know the difference between age groups and genres, which is very important, study it, know it, remember it. What is the difference in between genres, and how do you know if your book does have elements of 2 different ones? Where does it
does? They all do.
Yeah,
it does. Almost every book has a romance in it. They're not all romances, and that's the biggest example I have, because almost everything has a romance in it.
Exactly. So I think the best way to do this is to get a blank piece of paper and write down all of the authors that you think your book is like. See how then go to barnesandnoble.com, Amazon.com, wherever you buy books, and search them. Where are they listed? How are their books categorized and listed what genre? And then think, okay, but my book has a romance, but my book has a thriller. Does your book have a thriller and a subplot of a romance? Like, to start to break it down.
What's the core genre? I think a lot of people get excited about the idea that their book has 2 genres because they think I will get that much more of an audience.
Right.
But that's a mistake.
Agreed.
You cannot be everything to all people.
More importantly, too much of something is not a good thing, right? So too much appeal, too much audience is going to make any agent, any marketing, any editor, any professional think, well, I don't know how to sell this. Who am I selling this to? Who's my audience? Our question is always, where would this go on the shelves? What do we pitch it as?
I mean, have you ever been to one of those restaurants, usually like a New Jersey diner, that has a menu like this thick? And they have spaghetti and meatballs and a seafood platter and pancakes and hamburgers and paella. And you're like, how could any of this be that good? Because it's everything. And it's usually not that good.
And the flip side of that too is now you have 85 billion options. And how do I know what is the difference? So what we're getting at is when you are developing your pitch for your book, you have to know where it's going to fit. You can't effectively pitch a book if you don't have an audience and a viewership. And the other side of that is every genre has, a readership that has expectations. So if you think that your book is fitting in the thrillers and you shop it as a thriller, but it doesn't have any thrilling elements, there's not this big crime, we're not trying to figure something out, then you probably do not have a thriller. Same with romance, which is probably a better example, happily ever afters.
Yeah, and your audience isn't going to be happy. So here you are trying to appeal to all audiences, but the truth is you're just going to annoy them.
You've appealed to none.
Right, because I'm going to pick this up looking for a romance, and there's no happily ever after. There was a lot of sex, but that's not why I read the romance. I want the happily ever after. So I'm not satisfied, and I'm not going to pick up your next book.
Right. So these are some of the marketing reasons why it's important to have a genre, but also when you're writing, knowing that genre is what's going to help you shape, polish, develop that book to be the best book that it can be. If you don't have that expectation on yourself while you're writing it, you're going to be doing whatever the heck you want. And I mean, you can bring surprises to a genre, but you can't veer totally off course to a readership.
No author writes and publishes a book who doesn't know what they're writing and publishing. You know, no poet writes poetry without understanding what poetry is. You know, and that goes for genres and all of it. So you have to know. And also trying to convince an agent that your book is more than one genre combined into one really just shows us that you haven't done the professional research required of what it takes to make it in the business of publishing. And I stress the word business.
Yes, and more importantly, you're probably not setting yourself up for a successful querying experience because, you know, genres are how we start to whittle down the pool of a billion agents to agents that could be right for you. And if you don't have that idea, you're not going to have luck querying because you don't know who to query.
Correct.
So that's our little rant 101 on genres and age groups, and we hope it was helpful. If you have any questions on genres and age group, put them in the comments below, and we will go through and answer what we can. But we hope to see you back here next time.